qualifiers. They've also won in the VR Master League, a community online-based tournament. Then on the other side, you have their opponents, the G-Men, an American-based, North American-based team who are coming in, fighting their way in through the qualifying rounds of the VR League, and we're here to see how it all goes down.
Wow, I couldn't have said it any better myself, Sleepy. And this is exciting. We haven't really been able to talk to you guys about this map, but this is G-Men's first map pick. It is Cargo. And on this map, we're going to see some fast action, aren't we, Sleepy?
You're right, and we've already seen some fast action. Swooty already picking up a kill on the Woods 43 there in lane number 3. And now Beginner's already going to be on the back end for the defense. G-Men with a man advantage here. 4:42 left in the rounds.
You're right. It's already a 4 versus 5 with G-Men in an advantageous position here. And I'm curious, are we going to be seeing some shields coming out on this map?
Shield usage is highly possible on this map. We may not see it so much from these teams, but in the boss fight Globochem game that'll be coming up later, we will probably see a lot of shield usage from both sides in that map. However, we could also see some of that from G-Men here today. I know they have dabbled with the shield a little bit here and there.
Absolutely, and we just saw a player from Beginners crouching so low below that crate, and here we are again watching Smoils. He's crouched so low to the ground, and as we know, he has to do this physically. And Radar had spoke about that physical core, having that core strength to be able to hold those positions.
It's a different type of physicality, right? Like he mentioned, it's more about the core strength. It's not so much about the rapid motion and the cardio. And as I say that, Swooty finds Killinger, but IC Woods will also pick up one for the Beginners onto Brass to Mouth. And now things have evened out a bit. Beginners and G-Men in a 3-3 with 3 minutes, 38 seconds left. And look, we asked about the shield, and there, sure enough, we do have one from the man. He's rocking the shield. He's got Swooty there right behind him, backing him up. But Kev is right there on the other side of the wall as well. And if you remember, communication in this game is live at all times, so Kev can totally hear that. And he's going to be ready for Swooty to come around this corner.
What a nade from Swooty? Oh, that's a smoke grenade.
But it's going to flush Kev out. Here comes Kev on the flank. He finds Swooty. Will he get the man with the shield? Oh, he does. He goes in with the knife. Potter, to be fair, though, the knife is honestly the best way to deal with a shield. Just rush it. And with that, the Beginners take that first round. And man.
That can't feel good, though, Sleepy.
No.
Getting knifed on land. Oh, boy.
Yeah, the man's going to have trouble living that one down. He may now regret picking that shield for the first round. But going to you right away, what were your thoughts on that round? What did you like? What did you not like? What do you see in the replays here that you felt really clicked for you?
You know, I think that shield needs to be a little bit more impactful, right? Of course, they got timinged, I think, a little bit unlucky in that contact play. That as soon as he turned the corner, the shield player, the man, got separated from his teammate. So I think they need to coordinate a little bit better and utilize that shield, make it a little bit more impactful, so that in these tight corners, you know, really bait the shield.
Oh yeah, baiting the shield could be a good idea there for sure. But to be fair for the G-Men, I don't think I would have expected that ambush from Kev when Swooty tossed the smoke into that room. And then for him to come in and get both of those kills, that was very impressive. But we're already about itching and ready to go. Players are doing what they can to kind of beat the physical stamina that you need for this game, especially with it being on your feet so much and then up and down. You see players really low to the ground. We saw on those on-cams, some of the players even laying down, rolling over on their side to get that best angle possible. So, you know, these guys, you will probably see them in between rounds going ahead and taking a seat, trying to save that stamina for later on.
Yeah, and you see Woods there already just laying on the ground. He just hasn't even gotten up, and so taking a breath wherever they can, but it looks like we have some sort of a delay here. Trying to get that fixed as soon as possible for you guys.
Yeah, it looks like we might be good to go, but either way, the action has got started today, and wow, was it a good first round. I mean, we didn't time out. We had a kill almost instantly on the map. And then some exciting plays, that double kill again, going back to Kev and that rush.
Yeah, and we spoke about that in the pregame, about the fact that in this map, it's such a close quarters type of map, and with that low time to kill rate, it's action is going to happen fast, and these trades are going to happen fast.
Yeah, you got that right. And one of the Woods brothers, IC Woods, mentions it in his interview earlier, that with that time to kill, and it's not like in Space Junkies or in Echo Combat where you get fragged and you come back in a short while. No. He says it best, it's one, you're done, you're out. That's it. It's a one-life game mode. And that's probably something we should maybe go into if we have a little bit of time here, is a little bit about the game mode, right? So the game mode played in competition
Well,
is uplink, which, as you can see, that's where the satellite dish is going to be located on your lower right screen with that white dot. At that uplink station within a short radius, the attacking team, which in this case will be the beginners, are able to put in a 7-digit code, which will actually win them 2 points. But today it's not going to win them much of anything, as the Man and Swooty have already picked off 2 members of the beginners' offensive push, and things are looking great out of the gate for G-Men.
already 3 versus 5 situation deficit for beginners here. Man, they went for a fast play, and I respect that, but it kind of backfired on them here.
Yeah, it really did, and you know, and there we have our first team kill. Unfortunately, the Man will capitalize on that and find another, and now the G-Men in a very advantageous situation of a 2v4. What is going to happen? Can the boys from beginners still take this? Can Woods 43 and Smoils pull something out here and clutch this 2v4 scenario?
Yeah, you know, I think Woods here on beginner's side, they just need to take a breath, utilize their utility, and see what they can do, calculate their next play, because if they can separate these 4 members and make it a quick 2 versus 2, Smoils is already starting that out. And again, reset here. Time is on your side. You have 4 minutes in the round. So they can take all the time that they need. They've already taken 1 player out. They just need to take another one. And it's already a 2 versus 2, making it very much within their grasp.
Absolutely. A 2v3 is much more set in their advantage, and Smoils luckily able to pick up that kill. Excuse me there. I do believe he was at the giving end of that team downing earlier, so good for him to pick up a frag to kind of say sorry to the team.
Definitely.
But it looks like they are kind of listening to you, though, Potter. We do see beginners slowing down. They seemed a bit frantic at first as they were collecting their thoughts on what just happened to their teammates, right? But it seems that they might have communicated with each other, and they're now rethinking their approach. We saw them looting some of the dead bodies. That's a more recent update to the game in more later versions. But now you'll see, and as Radar and Mike had talked about earlier, that it really affects gameplay, because now you can pick up an enemy's gun, and they can't tell if it's you or you're friendly, because you might have picked up the opposite team's gun.
Absolutely, and it looks like things are really slowing down here. Again, time is on beginner's side here, and not only that, they're on the attacking at the moment. So G-Men are all under all the pressure, because they're going to start getting paranoid here, and some really nice quick trades here. It's already down to a 1 versus 2. This is still actually within beginner's grasp. I actually think they still have a chance within this round.
It is. There's going to have to be a lot of poking and prodding and then moving on. He cannot fixate, and as we say that...
I jinxed it, Sleepy.
Oh, no, don't think that way. Zach Fontaine will find the kill for G-Men, and that'll be it. G-Men will tie it up now. We're in the map 1-1 now.
Absolutely, and what a performance so far from Sudi, already with 3 frags. And under all this immense pressure at this land specifically, I mean, look at these guys. They're standing up there. It's taking out a lot of stamina for these guys, and mental fortitude to be able to perform under these kinds of conditions.
And let's not to mention the lights out there
Right.
on that stage, right? To get a product and a production like this, there is so many lights out there on that stage, so many PCs, screens, just everything down there generating that heat. You know it's got to be hot under those headsets, and especially under those over-ear airline headsets, as I like to call them.
Airline headsets, indeed. And you have a lot more experience than I do with these controllers. In fact, I've never even played with this, the pipes.
Yeah, the stocks.
Yeah, the stocks. So what can you tell me, like, on a scale of, well, maybe comparing, how impactful is it really?
I mean, to be fair, the Oculus Touch controllers are fantastic. They're super ergonomic. For games that feature weapons, they already have that pistol grip. But I will come back to your question in just a bit, Potter. Please remind me of that later. As we're going to get into our next round here, G-Men will be back on the offensive. It's a tie game 1-1. A cap here could mean the map is taken for G-Men. Let's see what happens. And already we have some pre-fire going up lane 3. They're trying to stop that defensive cross, but unfortunately they have been unsuccessful. They do have one player who's made it over and is hiding behind the green barrels there, awaiting this approach.
And already you're seeing a change of pace, a change of approach to this round. Things have slowed down drastically here, Sleepy. And it's because these points, they're going to start meaning a lot more, right? I mean, this is already the semifinals. They're trying to make it into tomorrow, Championship Sunday. So it's starting to mean a lot more to these players.
It is, and to be fair, the ESL format is a bit different than the standard game in that you only need 3 points to successfully close out a map, whereas in the standard version of the game, you do need 4. It's a best-of-7 scenario versus ESL's VR League, which is a best-of-5. So a cap right here, an uplink, which is for the offensive team to go in close to the objective and enter a 7-digit random code into the uplink, that would give their team 2 points versus the standard 1 point that you would get for just wiping the enemy team via kills. And the defense, unfortunately, is locked in to only being able to get that 1 point right now.
And Zach Fontaine already starting things off right in that direction you're speaking about, Sleepy, about that uplink. Hopefully they're able to get even more advantages here and get to that point in the game.
Yeah, and we are seeing the shield play again from the man, so he obviously does not regret his decision to rock the shield.
And you know, I like how close Sudi was to the shield there, to be able to actually utilize it. Yeah, and trade off of it well.
That's where the advantage of tight teamwork and even a tall, short aspect is really good. Like you said, you and I would be good partners because I'm much shorter than you are, so you can just easily look over my shoulder and my shield while you fired. But absolutely, you're right. That's definitely a great play. You'll see that probably from Global Chem as well. They like to run a 2-man and a shield rifle combo. And again, beginners here on the back foot. What do you think, G-Men? They are really bringing that wild card factor that they promised us in those pre-early interviews. And Zach Fontaine,
once again. We're already in sync here, Sleepy. We are in sync. But you're right. Zach Fontaine with the second frag within this round. Dr. Killinger with a nice answer to that, taking out the man, though.
Yes, and with that shield as well. That's going to be a big factor here as they go in for this push. It's still a 4v2, now 4v1 as Brat's Mouth catches out Keb with his Mark 18. And now beginners, last man left. He's talking to his team. He's just realized he's the only man left, and here comes a frag. But G-Man could be going for the cap here. I see smokes out.
He needs to go in. Dr. Killinger needs to sacrifice himself.
Killinger missed him. Oh, no, he's taking the shots. Swooty finds Killinger there on the rotation, and G-Men take their second point, taking the lead on beginners here on their own map choice.
You know, if I was G-Men there, I wouldn't have killed him. I would have continued putting my code in for that uplink.
Yeah, but to be fair, in this shorter format like we talked about, going for the kill is a safer bet, especially for G-Men who are coming in here, as a lot of folks have put it, as the underdogs against a team like beginners who are so trained and dedicated, right? So it's definitely taking a risk. They were going for it, but there's no sense in not taking that point at this point. If they take this map, then absolutely, I say go for the cap and try and save the kill for the next time. But since we're still playing on such an uncertain field, I think there's, like I said, they play very intellectually, right? And they did what they think was best, and I think that's what was best as well, which is save the round, possibly save the map.
Definitely, definitely. Well, you know what? Listen, if G-Men is going to watch this VOD later on, I would tell them, go for that uplink. Do not go for that kill. I would have closed it out right then and there. The odds of him winning the rounds was just so low in my thoughts, and I just think, yeah, those are the kind of plays, those are the kind of clutch plays we need from these players.
Yeah, and to go back on your go for the cap point, they could have actually and done it okay, because Killinger would have rotated back to defend the immediate objective area, right? So he would have ran a very specific path. So if they could have sent more than one person into the range of that uplink, which again is only about 10 meters or so maybe. So you have to be within that range before you can send the uplink. So they would have to have 2 people within that area of effect, basically.
Definitely.
And then they could get that 2 points. But yes, if they pushed 2 there, then it would have been fine, because they could have sacrificed 1, and the other probably would have gotten the uplink in that time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It could be done, but again, playing it safe there, I still feel is probably a bit smarter. They want to lock in their own map, so that way, if beginners take their map and the second map, they're more confident going into our final map, which is a bit more even, though again, beginners have special strategies on Suburbia.
Definitely. So we're going to see G-Men here with the advantage here, 2-1, and let's listen to their comms, because that is a benefit that we have here.
Yes, it is. We do have localized comms in our spectator view, so if we get close to the players, we can hear what they're saying, but already looking good for 404 as he finds a headshot onto Woods 43 and immediately is refragged by Swooty. Action is lighting up fast here, but we can say that G-Men are looking favorable here, because typically most mindsets would think that Volk, the defending team, does have the advantage, as they don't have any necessary reason to rush out and get killed unnecessarily. They get to sit back. They have that privilege to sit back and wait for their opponents to come to them, wait for them to make a mistake or catch them out in the open. And that's probably what we'll see here, though we have seen a trade from both sides, and things stay even 4-4 as we enter our 4th minute here in the round.
Absolutely, and it looks like Dr. Killinger was priming a grenade there, and as we discussed, that there was some changes to the grenade in this 1.6 update with the weight changes and how these players are going to be throwing them. So I'm curious to see how impactful these grenades are actually going to be here today.
Well, if they can get them to go exactly where they want them and those new mechanics like we talked about, that weighting isn't changed, then we should be seeing some laser-guided grenades here, because especially from Dr. Killinger, I've watched many casts of him just placing grenades at long range even, just directly on top of his targets.
Kobe, right?
Amazing. Yeah, Kobe, absolutely. And there, Killinger does exactly what he needs to do, and he finds another kill. That'll be his second for the round. He's downed the man. You will see on your kill feed there, ladies and gentlemen, that it will say that someone downed another player, and that does mean that the player who has been downed can actually utilize their radio as if they were kind of bleeding out on the ground and call to their teammates to come and inject them with a syringe, which gives them a revive and can bring that player back into active duty, essentially. So you will be seeing a lot of communication come out from those bodies, but unfortunately communication no more, as Kev's grenade takes down the man, and he is no longer downed, he is dead.
He certainly is, and now we see beginners with the man advantage. It's a 4 versus 3 scenario. G-Men in the lead on that scoreboard, though, and an equalizer from 404, taking out Smoils. You hear him communicating to his team already, and now it's already a 3 versus 3 scenario with 3 minutes left on the clock.
And that's another thing we should really talk about is the game has no HUD, right? You play a 2D esport game, you could play CSGO, you play Call of Duty, you play Halo, you play anything out there in the 2D esports world for the most part. And you have a HUD, you have information given to you at all times. With Onward, you have none of that. Your HUD is your environment. The only thing you have to your advantage as far as intel is your communication over the radios and through your local chat and through your watch and tablet. That's all you have. You don't have a bullet count for your magazine to know when to reload.
Okay, how much power do we have?
And now, you know...
And I love the tablet, right? I mean, even some players use the tablet as kind of a bait, like it's a head bobbing out of a window. And
especially at the long ranges,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. So I really love the tablet aspect for sure in this game.
Yeah, I don't recall who was the first to start using the tablet decoy, if you will, but we've definitely seen it before. I remember a few streams on in previous LANs. It was definitely commented on by, I believe it was Kaplan at the time, him and Blue, was it? But yeah, either way, beginners and G-Men still locked into this 3v3 here. We're coming up on a minute and a half left, and this is kind of in beginner style, right? They do like to get completely set in their positions and then go in and just blitzkrieg the enemy at the end. I've compared it to a SWAT team surrounding a hostage building. They get everyone into their positions very quietly, or as quietly as they can, and then once everyone is in position and ready, smokes, flashes, frags, all of that coming in, and it's a strike. And that's what I love about the beginner's playstyle is they are so committed and so disciplined that some of them will even just sit there crouching quietly waiting for their teams as to not give away their own position.
Absolutely, and now we're going to see some action happening here very soon with only 1 minute left to go, and Icy Woods with a Kobe grenade taking down Brass to Mouth.
Kobe.
But that was only a down. Let's see if G-Men are able to actually revive him. It looks like they already get the revive off. That was very fast reactions from Zach Fontaine. 47 seconds left to go in the round. Beginners with all the advantages because now they have G-Men on the back foot.
They do, but that's going to put him on the front foot. Kev finds a trade with Zach Fontaine, and Icy Woods will find 404. And then before we know it, everything is over, and beginners take the round. Potter, we're 2-2 on map number 1. Now I'm going to ask you, who is it? Who's your pick now? You've gotten 2 rounds. You've gotten to see many rounds now,
I have,
in fact.
yeah.
Who is your pick? Who are you going with for the series? I'm going to ask you for the whole series, not just the map.
You know what? I'm going to go with beginners here. I really respect their play. I like that they're slowing things down. They understand that they have the advantages actually in an attacking position. When you are attacking and the numbers are even, generally speaking, you draw out the enemies. You make them paranoid. Yes. They're going to start looking left, right, and center. They don't know where you're going to come from. And then all of a sudden, you're just slowly choking them out. And that's exactly what beginners did. I think it was a sound strategy, and I think if they continue that sort of execution, I'm on beginner's side all the way.
All right. I'd have to agree with you, though. I mean, that's exactly what beginners have done. Their patience wins out in the day. And like you said, I agree with that as well, that the attacker in that situation has the surprise. The defenders are hoping to God that the time runs out before they even get there. Like, they can stay hidden, and as long as they don't give away that uplink, things are good. They don't need to worry about it. But at the same time, they also know that the attackers are going to come and start to make a push, and that puts them on their back foot, and that element of surprise really does lend to the attackers. So
absolutely. And now we're down to a tied game here, Sleepy, and the man busting out the shield once again. They weren't able to actually utilize the shield to the best of their ability the last time around. Let's see if they can change things around this time.
Yeah, let's see. He hasn't been very fortunate with
here we
that
go.
yet. And
We're gonna see
Smoils
this
with his
peak.
LMG does pick up Swooty. Heavy firing coming in from Brastum out there as he tries to suppress a lane. It is unsuccessful, unfortunately, for him. Some C4 detonated to keep the offenders back. Dr. Killinger finds Brastum out on a down and a very hard angle, laying sideways on the floor. Now come the confirmation grenade. G-Men better be careful. This could be a trap. He could get 2. He does!
We're seeing a lot of grenade kills here, Sleepy.
I don't even know that I could follow what just happened,
It's quickly
Connor.
turned into a 2 versus 2 scenario. And again, G-Men, if they slow things down here, they've got 4 minutes left on the clock here, Sleepy. So they've got all the time in the world to try to calculate their next move. And again, if they take beginner's approach, they actually have a shot in this round.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if for some reason one of the remaining members of beginners goes down and it's only one person left, what you're going to see that person more than likely do is start frantically running about, checking as many of the approach angles as possible to make sure that they're clear and make sure that they're not getting capped on. Because again, that is very important now. G-Men don't need that to win this technically, but they could use it in order to be safer and not try and engage the enemy, but try and kind of fool them with some mind games.
Definitely, and I like this from G-Men. They were very separated. However, the man has a shield, so he needs to be able to use his partner. So they've kind of regrouped here. They've gotten closer together. I like that. G-Men is really going to have to utilize that shield in order to make these trades in their favor.
I see why the man has continued to use the shield. He is using the benefit of having the shield, a pistol with a laser sight, and night vision. Because the night vision allows you to see that laser forever, as of course you probably know. And so he'll be able to target around that shield without needing to really overexpose himself. The only problem is when it comes to a firefight close range, when it comes close in, he can be susceptible to the higher rate of fire and the higher clip count or magazine count that the ARs and other weapons have. Also, you got to watch out for Kev's knife because as he found out in round 1, the knife is also a dangerous end to the shield.
I have a question for you, Sleepy.
Absolutely.
Did the man just shoot there as a bait, or was that an accident? Is the pressure getting to the man, or was that a baiting shot?
You know, it's hard to tell. Sometimes it could be a bait to get the misdirection, get the attention of the defenders, while Swooty or 404 here kind of, you see the relocating smoke. He's taking it, he's walking up to it, then he's pushing it on forward. And now he's blocked off his cross over here into a lane 3 towards lane 4, and he's going to have a great advantage to kind of sneak up from it as long as the man doesn't get caught out in that tunnel.
Can Dr. Killinger hear him? The man has almost flanked completely behind Dr. Killinger at the moment. Now remember, the man has the shield, but Dr. Killinger is not reacting in any way, so I don't know if
he hasn't heard him.
Yeah, he hasn't heard him.
Which means that the man is crouching and moving forward so slowly that his in-game foot speed, it's similar to stalking someone, right? Like in a lot of games, you have the whole stealth aspect of if you crouch in game, you're technically gone stealth, right? Well, in Onward, you still make noise when you're crouched. Ooh, Dr. Killinger does find 404 through a tiny crack, but he still has no idea the man is there, and the man finds it with the pistol. It's a 1v1 now, and it's a shield game. Who is going to take this? Woods 43 frantically looking for him, and I think the man, he's going to be reliant on those footstep sounds now. He should have the advantage as Woods is rushing about.
Yeah, Woods is definitely very paranoid right now, and the man has heard everything. The man knows exactly where Woods is right now.
Yeah, I believe he's peeking Woods through the crack there with his shield because he knows that. And there it is! G-Men!
The man!
With the pistol, clutching the round with the shield.
And he was so patient. He slowed things down. He had that shield from the beginning to the end. And, man, what a flank.
Absolutely amazing. I did not see that coming. I honestly thought Woods 43 might have been able to find it, but no, he just chose that wrong direction. And like we said, that last defender standing will do like a defender dance where he just all over the objective, just bouncing around, right?
The man, the myth, the legend, the man. He's the utility man as well. You mentioned he has the night vision, he has the shield, he has the nades, and he's really the bait of his team, and he's the one that ends up winning.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Incredible.
right. And we'll hopefully get a bit more refresher on what happened there. A lot of stuff going in here. Here's that wonderful double cap from Knife. Swooty throws a smoke in. Kev goes right in, finds Swooty. Now he's going to come in and find the man with the knife, and that is, of course, when we question the man's due diligence with the shield.
Yeah.
Now we have the man and Swooty finding 2 early kills in, I believe, round 2. setting the G-Men off to an early start, and I just mean the grenades and explosive usage on this map has just been killer, Potter.
It really has, and I mean, this entire series thus far has been so great. These rounds have been so close, and we're actually seeing both these teams coming up with really clever plays, really clever ways in order to get the points on the board.
Yeah, that is right. And I mean, G-Men, this was their map pick, right? So inherently you have to think that, okay, they should be able to win because they chose this map. However, now that they have done the impossible and they've beaten the Giants in the EU on map 1, we go back to beginner's map pick.
Absolutely, and I think we have some, we're going to throw it to a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
Could you do that elsewhere? It's blocking my sun.
This is the one I've been searching for.
You've always been a gambler, ready to make a wager.
Break through the door.
Or roll the dice. You've always known when to stand and when to hit, when to raise and when to bluff.
Your will is strong, but I will break you soon enough.
You know when you have a good hand and you're not afraid to go all in.
All right, and welcome back, everyone, to the VR League here in Leicester, United Kingdom at the Haymarket Theatre. I am your caster, Sleepy. I'm joined by the lovely Miss Potter. We are casting for you the Beginners versus G-Men VR League semifinal game for Onward.
And man, what an opener we had here, Sleepy.
Absolutely.
It was so back and forth, just the quick trades, quick reactions from all these players.
Yeah, literally to the last point available to either team. It was 2-2. Anyone getting the next point, it was over. It was
Absolutely.
sudden death.
Definitely, and we're going to see a switch of pace here, I believe. We're going to be going over to Bazaar, and this map is a lot bigger. There's a lot more hiding points and choke points that these players are going to be a little bit more wary of, and so I think things are going to slow down. We're going to see a lot more calculated plays. Specifically, as we saw, both these teams were willing to take it to the last second.
Yeah, they absolutely are. They are time management pros, both the Beginners and G-Men here. But however, Bazaar does offer some unique opportunities where the spawns can allow more acceptance for the rush plays. Like, for example, the Eastern Courtyard objective. It has a very easternly spawn point for the Marsoc team, which is very quick pace-wise to be able to get into shooting range of that objective and capping range. We've seen some very quick plays come out from teams, and G-Men been showing that more recently as well, and that's what I'm worried about. Can that speed that they've recently kind of adopted, will that throw Beginners off here? Will they be used to a slow, methodical, tactical G-Men on Bazaar and be completely blindsided by a quick, rapid push a la the North American style?
You know, hopefully we see G-Men pulling those out, pulling out all the stops here, because, man, this is it. This is what you're fighting for. And we saw that aggression pay off for G-Men early on Cargo. And so hopefully we do see quick trades, quick reactions, because they absolutely capitalized on it.
Yeah, they sure did. But you know, Beginners were no slouches in that first map either. They really put the nails to G-Men.
Definitely.
I cannot deny them their credit. I mean, they are the top EU team for a reason, and there is a reason why that match went so long, why we went to that final point. Both of these teams are wanting to be here. They want to be here again tomorrow. Everything is on the line for them, and as we talked about previously, those prize pools jump quite significantly when you make it from day one to day two.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking from $9,000 to $15,000 to $30,000.
Hey,
Sleepy. That's a lot of money. And so, yeah, these players are definitely feeling the pressure at this point. I mean, they've got everything to fight for here.
Yeah, and if they clinch this on map 2 and just shut out the Beginners in the very first round in the semifinals, like, I don't even know that I'll be able to help out anymore. Like, my mind will literally just explode.
And can I just say, I really appreciate your pin. I love the logo. I love the Beginners logo. This is good.
Yeah, it's a fun logo, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, the guys from Beginners caught up to me downstairs, and I was persuaded, if you will, to wear the Beginners logo. And
I like it.
And don't let that be a detriment to any of the other teams here. Again, I come from this community. I know these players. I know all the guys and gals here, except for some of the few who might be joining teams more recently. So I know these people, and I can definitely feel for them. And when I see them, it's a great connection we all share. And it's great. All of them, great guys, 100%.
amazing.
And gals. We have quite a few female players.
Oh
in the
yeah,
Onward
I
community.
heard that there was a close family with sisters and brothers and
Yeah,
just
so-
a whole lot of VR families out here.
Yes, there are. And in fact, on 2 of the teams that we have here today, there are brothers. You have on Beginners, Icy Woods and Woods 43. They are brothers in the EU side. And then on the North American side, you have Thunder Pilot for Global Chem, who is not here this weekend, unfortunately, and his brother Otto, who are brothers. They also have a sister who plays on another VR team. And so, yeah, it's a family affair all around. A lot of these teams with
It's
brothers,
amazing.
cousins, best friends just from their local towns or maybe their high school or universities. So, yeah, a lot of people playing with people they already know, and then some are convincing their friends to maybe come over from the old Xbox days or PlayStation days or maybe the CS days if they're getting a little bored of that, which, you know, not too many people do anymore. But yeah, I mean, it's just really amazing how close-knit these communities are.
Definitely. And we see the players, they're just getting ready here, warming up their muscles, making sure that they're ready to go. And I mean, It's a lot of, I mean, we had Radar Head discussing it on the desk earlier. It's about precision and muscle memory. It just the smallest margins with such a low TTK.
Yeah, it's razor thin margins. You have to be exact in your movements and know and be confident in what you're doing in order to execute well. If you make a hesitation while you're in the transition from cover to cover, that is that split second where you're completely exposed and completely unaware of your enemy, and that's where he's going to strike. And so, again, with that narrow TTK, like we keep talking about, that's time to kill, the number of bullets, the amount of health or damage you can take before you do succumb to the ultimate price is very short, so that means that they have to be so calculated, so meticulous in every single movement that they make, everything that they say as well, because if an enemy's right around the corner, they can hear everything they're saying to their team and tell their team. They can keep it for themselves and run an ambush like we saw Kev do on Cargo and against G-Men there in the shield. So yeah, I mean, anything can happen with this, but it looks like we are hopefully in and ready to go. I believe we have all of our players set up in the lobby, so we should be bringing you that action very, very shortly. But I mean, are you still going to stick with your beginner's choice after map 1?
I had a feeling you were gonna ask me. I thought that beginners was gonna actually blow this out of the water because of their strategy. I was not expecting G-Men to come back forward and just throw that strategy right into their face back and win and come out on top of that. So, but I'm gonna still stick with beginners here. I think that they probably have a lot more depth. I mean, they've been in the game for so long. They've been #1 for so long, and so I think it is definitely harder to remain at the top. I mean, we've seen that teams really struggle to keep that #1 spot. It is generally easier for the underdog teams to look up to these teams and steal their strats. And why not, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So definitely keep stealing those strats and improve and get better. However, so it does get challenging to remain at that #1 spot.
Yeah, and there's another aspect that I think we've kind of ignored so far is in Radarhead and Ryan were talking about it a bit earlier, was this new patch that recently came out with the new developments on some of these maps. Some of these maps have been redone. Some of the clutter and objects within are new to these players. Sightlines they once had are now gone, and maybe that lent to Cargo, but it doesn't matter. We're going to wait no more. We're into our next map. We are here on Bazaar, a very well-balanced map, and it'll be beginners with the first shot at going for the uplink.
And they'll be trying to get to that uplink over at near the hotel in the northeast corner of the map here. We'll see what their approach is. It looks like they're going for a 3-2 split towards the north and south side of the map so far.
Yeah, you'll see beginners typically run a very similar 3-2 or 3-1-1 or even a 1-1-3 split in order to get themselves into position surrounding the objective. Now, G-Men are opting to send a little bit of aggression on their defender that's in that center Kayat building there in the center of the map. But the objective, this is the objective I was talking about, which does have what you call a quick spawn, to where the attackers can get themselves into positions ready to attack the uplink at almost any time. And the defenders have some longer timings there to which they can actually get picked off in their transition trying to get to the spot to defend from.
Absolutely.
But we did see the longer spawn here, which was that southwest spawn that the beginners started with. There's one a bit farther north of them near that red truck on the western street, which lends them faster capability.
Definitely, and it looks like G-Men are really turtled up here towards that northwest, as you mentioned, that Kyoto Central Market area.
Yeah, the Kyoto, yeah.
The Kyoto, that Kyoto Central Market area. They're really turtled up, so I think this is going to create a lot more trading opportunities for themselves. Hopefully they are still quick to react like they were in that last map on Cargo, and if so, I think they're in the advantageous position here.
And here we're seeing a little bit of what I'm talking about. The players very disciplined. You'll see there hasn't really been a whole lot of movement from the beginners across the map. Meanwhile, we look at the defense from the G-Men. It is set. It is ready to go. It is waiting for the attack. They might actually start getting a little bit antsy now, which is what you have to be careful with when you're playing teams who play slow pace. They'll catch you off guard. You're not ready for the attack when it comes, or you'll start running around looking for the fight, and that's when you're going to get taken down. And that might be what's about to happen here to the man, though it sounds like he might have heard his opponent who is nearby him.
Absolutely, and we spoke about this on the last map, right? We saw how patient beginners were willing to be, and how their strategy was to really kind of choke out their enemy, choke out G-men, make them paranoid, make them move their crosshair a little too much, be caught off guard. And so, yeah, beginners with a full 2 minutes and 40 seconds left within the round, so they're going to use every second that they have.
You got that right, and as they should. I mean, Bazaar is a larger map. It's really about medium in the size of the Onward spectrum, but it does have various engagement ranges. It has long-range open street crossings. It has close quarters building combat, which has actually been made even more intense by more objects being added within those buildings than the players may be used to. So there could be some new spots in here that they're not going to be expecting, and the defense could be at the advantage by not having a whole lot of prep time here with these new objects in the game.
Definitely, and the man here, I believe he's going to be the first player maybe to get contact here for the G-men. Let's see if he's going to be able to come out on top. He has an inkling. He understands that there's an enemy right on that other side of the wall there.
Yeah, and look at the beginners on your map there. Look at their placement, right? They're in position.
They're so coordinated.
They're getting set. Yes, they are very coordinated. So now it's a minute 40, right? We're at the minute and a half mark. Here we go. We're going to see the Blitzkrieg soon, and we've not seen any direct action yet. But we're going to be seeing it here very shortly. I'm not even sure we're going to be able to keep up, Potter, to be honest.
Oh, boy. Are you ready, Sleepy?
I'm stretching the mouth out right now, getting ready to go. But
404 is on the hunt, though. He's not really in a lot of cover. He's just really out there. I think he's realizing that he might get a look here pretty soon on the beginners.
He should stay patient, though, because the beginners, I'm hearing a little panic in Dr. Killinger's voice as they haven't made their attack start yet. And he's saying, we should do something. We need to do something. It's a minute 30 left. We don't have a lot more time. To be honest, they are very close to the objective, so it's not that they couldn't get there and make something happen if they needed to, but that's not what you want. You need to be able, if you're going to send everything in one attack, you need to have some time left to readapt. But the man is going to find Woods 43 inside the building, and he will take control, and he's actually got great sightline on those two members of beginners who are sitting out there in the open courtyard.
Definitely, and I believe beginners has a lot more utility left within this round, and here we are. Here comes out the smokes now. They're finally utilizing him, and Dr. Killinger with a quick kill on Sweetie, but 404 responds with a quick trade, and wow, a lot of action happening so fast. It's already come down to a 2 versus 1 scenario.
And the last member comes around the corner, Brass the mouth, gets the pick. Icy Woods and 404, all of those kills just coming out all over the place, but it is the G-men who take it on the defense, and now we'll go back onto the offense.
It definitely is, and G-Man, brass to mouth. Wow, what a great reaction from him, making sure that he's sticking right next to his teammate. It's a numbers game at this point, right?
Absolutely.
Making sure that if my teammate gets contact, I'm going to be right there to trade him out, and that's exactly what brass to mouth did. And G-Man already up 2-0 now, Sleepy.
Yeah, it's...
My predictions.
I honestly, the way these games are playing, the way G-Men are playing right now is blowing my mind. They are such a capable team and are very strong and deserve their spot here in this tournament. But the way they've been playing today and just the way they've been upsetting the beginners in this first semifinal has been intense. I was not prepared for this. And we talked about earlier, Radar had talked about the G-Men being a bit of a newer team. What he meant by that was their makeup, their chemistry, their roster has gone through a bit of changes. So it's not as much of the original G-Men roster who has been around since the original days of Onward competitive scene boiling up in the communities. But yeah, a lot of their players here currently at the event are newer to the team. Like he said, Zach Fontaine and Brass to Mouth and Dr. Leo Marvin, who is also here in attendance just as a guest. He came to support his teammates over here in the UK, and as he should have, as they're giving the beginners a run for their money.
Absolutely, but before I get a little too ahead of myself, now we're going to swap sides, and now beginners is going to be able to defend here, and you know, defending on this map, it does have its advantages.
Oh, for sure. You were completely correct there. And I'm sure beginners, we saw in the interview on stage earlier with Gabby, I think that's Icy Woods. I'm sorry if I got the Woods brothers confused, boys. I apologize. But he said that, you know, their team is known for its defensive strength. And I think that's what we're about to see here. We saw quite a bit of it on Cargo, though they were able to be toppled once or twice by G-Men there. But yeah, we're going to see a very tight defense from the beginners, I think. I don't think they're going to make any unnecessary peeks or movements to give away anything. So again, it's going to be a long wait for us, unfortunately, until we get to that final firefight. But when it happens, boy, is it going to be big. Or G-Men are just going to bring the heat straight away, and maybe they walk on beginners here and catch them at an unsuspected pace.
Yeah, I hope. You know what? Although I thought beginners was going to win, I hope that is what we see from G-Men, because that is what has been working. Although they were defending last time, they turtled up. Their defense is great, so just keep capitalizing. Use your win conditions, and I believe the aggression from G-Men is their win condition.
Yeah, I completely agree. Beginners are definitely not out of this, though.
No.
As we said, their defense is very solid. It's one of the best in the league, and I expect them to play their defensive rounds as tightly as possible from this point forward. But it's a tough game, and now we could be seeing a tilt factor coming in from these teams. These games are much longer than we saw in Space Junkies and Echo, so we are going to be seeing a lot more of the mental fatigue as well as these matches draw out and the enemy looms over you, especially right now with G-Men on the precipice of possibly knocking out beginners in the very first round. That's something that just cannot be understated. Like, that's amazing. Beginners are a top-tier team, as are G-Men, but
yeah.
I mean, this is just completely blowing me away right now.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the fatigue, the physical aspect of it. It definitely plays a role. I mean, unfortunately, we've been kind of having a lot of delays today, and so that definitely plays a role in these players. They've been waiting, and I'm sure practicing as much as they can, but at a certain point, it does kind of get to you.
Yeah, and at a certain point, there's a point where it's, playing for too long is too long. It's not a good long session. No, it's now become detrimental to your playing, right?
But
You start making those hammered mistakes.
That's the key, right? Is the
Being
stamina, being able to control it, being
Absolutely.
a champion, and having that
Champion!
bloodline, right?
That's it.
I mean, so that's definitely a display. I believe it in competition is being able to display your ability to be able to either come back from that or maintain it, right? And so we're definitely going to be able to see which athletes are ready to be the champions here.
Yeah, exactly. Who has drank their daily amount of water? Who's had all 8?
Agua.
What is it? 8 cups, right? Is your daily recommended amount of water?
Do you drink 8 cups a day?
Oh,
Sleepy?
absolutely not. I'm
No?
terrible about drinking water. I really am, and I should drink more of it.
I drink a lot of water. You've seen how many times I go to the restroom, Sleepy. I drink a lot of water.
Oh boy, well, it looks like our referees are sorting out a bit of an issue right now on the stage. We do apologize for the delay in the action, but action it has been. G-Men, beginners, both giving us some both fantastic individual plays. The first map was just out of this world. We went to our final point, and this is all just the start of Onward. We still have one more series of matchups to come after this, and that's another 2 amazing teams. Like, I'm not sure I don't know if there's any more like wall left for my mind to be painted onto.
Definitely, and you know what's impressed me the most today is the progression that I'm seeing. My first cast with this VR with Onward was back in March or so, I believe, and so it's been a few months, and in that short time span, I'm just seeing so much growth really from these teams and their ability and their approach to the rounds and into the game, and I think that's amazing. The meta's just consistently shifting. It is a fairly young game, and so that's definitely what we tend to see.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing is the meta here has evolved because, again, the VR League rule set is a bit different from the standard rule set of the main game, but thankfully we have gotten our players all back in, and it looks like we're on same objective. The score is still the same, but it's this time the G-Men who are going to come from that southwest spawn there on the corner of your map as they attack the east courtyard objective against the beginners' defense. And no, unfortunately, there will be an in-game reset. There must have been an issue with one of the players.
Did you see Brass to Mouth just kind of fling his pad there? He's
Yeah,
just like,
well,
"Rah."
Yeah. little exasperation there from having to go on yet another little break.
We haven't seen much fooling around with the models, specifically in Space Junkies. I thought we'd see a lot more of that, a lot more little hearts and.
Well, I did see a bit of the emoting with Space Junkies. Yeah,
okay.
the V-Respawn
Maybe
team
I just
definitely
want
did. Yeah, of course, sure.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I don't think the players are doing that so much right now because there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, for sure.
And for G-Men, they're going up against a top team. I mean, there is no dismissing beginners at all. And for beginners, they're going up against something here that is not their usual style. Again, these two don't play each other regularly other than in VR League. And for that, what do you do? How do you beat an enemy that you don't really know? Because G-Men aren't a team to where if you watch their previous tapes, they're going to run the same thing later. Like, they
Yeah.
are always finding unique little ways to tweak what they do.
Definitely. I mean, you got to practice your game sense, right? You got to practice your reactions. I mean, and we've seen out of the beginners how great their reactions have been. And so just that is your win condition. Make sure you're reacting off of their aggression, off of G-Men's aggression, and just making sure it's keeping it as simple as possible. Numbers game.
Numbers game.
Numbers game indeed. Simple math, Sleepy.
Simple maths. Luckily, I can do those.
Yeah. Dr. Killinger on your screen, and he's been on fire today so far.
Yeah, Dr. Killinger is a great player, and I talked about it a little bit in the cargo matchup. He is known for having those laser-guided grenades. He can really pinpoint a grenade, and so he's a dangerous one to watch.
He's got the arm, the Kobe.
He's got the
Kobe
he's got the
arm.
golden arm, yeah.
Okay.
He's the Randy Johnson, if you know your baseball references. And those in our European audience also probably won't get that reference either. But, you know, to be
Who watches baseball, Sleepy? Come on.
I don't watch it anymore either. Why follow real sports when we have VR esports anymore, you know? But no, I mean, yeah, he's one to watch for grenades, as is Brass to Mouth on the G-Men side. I've been witness to many of his amazing grenades, especially on Quarantine, which we won't be seeing in our series. It was banned, actually, by the beginners of all teams.
They heard about his hand.
Apparently, but
They
they shouldn't
heard.
be concerned because Quarantine, typically a beginner's favorited map. They really like it, and they are very strong on it. So that ban coming out is a bit of a surprise for me.
Maybe the roster changes have a little bit to do with that.
Could be, or maybe
comfort level.
maybe because they don't have any extra people to swap out in case there are other players within their rostered members that could do better on them for them on that map. There's a lot of factors that really could be at play. But another thing I've really been thinking about since these players are having a few stops after getting 1 round or 2 rounds in is, will that momentum that G-Men are carrying at the moment, will that be iced? Will it stop because they have to stop and take this longer break? Or are they going to be pros about it and just kind of do as we see them doing here and taking a bit of a break, getting off their feet, and just collecting themselves in the pre-lobby?
You know, I think it really depends on beginners. I think it depends on how much beginners is going to allow G-Men to get away with this timeout. I think both teams need to approach this little technical delay as a blessing, really. You know, when the matches have been this close and when the series is this close, you need to take every advantage that you can and this time to be able to breathe, to be able to refocus yourself, recompose, and figure out what your approach is going to be. This is actually a really huge blessing for beginners, to be honest.
Yeah, for beginners, but
Yeah.
G-Men definitely not going to be liking
G-Men,
this.
yeah. But I mean, on the other side of things, hopefully G-Men, it comes to that mental stamina and understanding what it's going to take to compete and what it's going to take to be the best. And hopefully they've come prepared and they're ready for that.
You're right, and at the end of that weekend, there's that gorgeous trophy that they'll be competing for as they keep panning over it, just enticing us up here in the desk. Radar and I are up here just drooling over this trophy as former players, just wanting to hoist it up over our head like the Stanley Cup and give her a big old smooch.
It looks heavy. The trophy looks heavy.
It does, but if it's similar to the one like they had at OC5, it wasn't as heavy as it looked.
As it looked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, thank you all for joining us here on VR League semifinals of the VR Season 3 finals here in Leicester, the Haymarket Theater. We have our first round of Onward, which has been beginners versus G-Men. G-Men are currently up 1 map on beginners in the series. If they take this next one, it will be the end of the beginner's road, as this weekend's format is single elimination.
And that hurts, right? But I mean,
It
that
is.
is cutthroat. That is as competitive as you can get, right? But I mean, that should make these teams take it a little bit more seriously. You know, this is one weekend. You have to prepare. You have to be prepared.
And again, I think that's why we're not seeing a lot of that emoting out there. And a lot
Definitely,
of, you know,
yeah.
a lot of dancing and
You
a lot
know, it
of
was
tomfoolery.
hopeful thinking on my end.
It's not to say that it won't come. We do still have more matches to come, in different set of players, a different set of personalities. I mean, because again, each of these people are, you know, each of these players is their own personality. Not even so much as in person, like they all have their own in-game personalities as well. Because some of these folks, once they're in the world of VR, once they're in the realm of VR and are completely immersed, forgotten about what's going on around them, some people really come out of their shell. Like those who might be a bit uncomfortable or awkward in social situations will spring to life. They'll start chatting and laughing, you know, because they have that anonymity to a sense. But as well, you also have that intimacy of the fact that you have full-figured animated things being tracked by, you know, points on your body. So it's a bit of a different experience. So, you know, you kind of know these people almost on a personal level, especially your teammates, once you've spent that much time in the game. Now, with Onward, we talked about Space Junkies hours earlier. Now, that game just more recently came out. So to be fair, Onward has been out for quite a while now, a little over 2 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And so these players here on this stage, I can guarantee probably 80% of them have crossed the 1,000 hours mark in Onward.
That's great. That is great. It takes a long time to develop a consistent meta, I think, across a lot of video games.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I mean, the stakes here too. These guys are very locked in, very tight. There's not a lot of cheeriness going on right now. Everybody's very game face. Even in the player areas, it seems very tense. A lot of tension. You can cut that with a knife. And yeah, we're getting our players back in. Hopefully, we should be having everything ready to go here shortly for you. The players just getting a little bit jazzed up, getting the muscles, getting those lactic acids moving again so that they can function without cramping. Again, Radar had talked about this earlier. This is a more core basic game. Like, we're not talking about high energy cardio. We're talking about core strength. So maybe our players should be yogis.
Well, although it's not high energy, high cardio, and you talked about that core base, it takes a lot of focus. It's like yoga, right? People that maybe don't understand yoga, maybe look towards Onward in VR. It takes that core strength and focus to be able to hold those positions because it takes a lot of strength.
You're right. But we're going to have to see
We're in it.
whose strength is stronger now. G-Men are going to be trying to flex their attack muscle here from the long spawn, the southwest spawn on the east objective. Beginners should have plenty of time to get their defense set here. But no, it does look like there will be a round reset triggered once again by the beginners. And we will be back again once we can get that round started. Hopefully it was just a small issue. Maybe somebody wasn't readied up and didn't come into the lobby and they just need to go back in and start the timer again.
Some pretty unfortunate things happening right now, Sleepy.
Yeah, there really is. I see referees now over at the station there. But thank you all tuning in. Of course, VR League brought to you by Oculus and ESL. Having a bit of trouble with the delays today, but we're working our way through it.
We absolutely are. And I mean, at least we've had some amazing games, right? Specifically this Onward, it seems like we've been waiting all day for it to get started. And when it finally did, it delivered.
Absolutely, and it does sound like that PC issue on the side of beginners is a bigger issue than originally thought. So we will be back from a break here momentarily. Thank you so much for tuning in with the VR League.
Could you do that elsewhere? It's blocking my sun.
This is the one I've been searching for.
Space Junkies brings lightning-fast, jetpack-fueled shooter to the VR League. Challengers will face off in 2 versus 2 team deathmatch in deadly orbital arenas. The action now comes thick and fast from every direction and vertically in these new spherical battle spaces. The rules are simple. Eliminate your opponents as fast as you can in 5-minute rounds. Players will duck, dodge, weave, move, and groove through interior and exterior maps, grabbing a variety of insane weapons along the way. From cosmic rippers to biopumps, players have access to two-handed and single-handed weapons to choose from. And of course, dual wielding. In terms of points, each frag counts as a point. First to 15 or highest number of frags wins. Watch out, there is friendly fire, even in outer space, and killing friendlies will result in a loss of points. Like any competitive shooter, tactics play a key role, so playing as a team and using covers is essential when attacking or defending an enemy target. Your skill in aiming and ammo management will help you stay alive, so watch your lines of sight and keep that spatial awareness. Get ready to strap on your jetpacks and get shooting in the VR League.
All my life been looking for true love, a real one. You, all I want to do is you. Be there for you. Be there for you.
Jack, can you hear me? How did we end up here?
You are the only person who calls me Jack.
Is that your way of saying you're going to miss me?
Anomaly detected.
I'm gonna get you patched up. I promise. Not to jinx it, but I think we're actually making progress here. Oh, damn it! I don't know if I can do this, Jack. Your systems are failing. I barely managed to keep your core memory alive.
Are you injured?
What the hell is this? Jack, please.
Morning, sunshine.
Jack! Oh, thank God.
Captain Rhodes, report to observation.
Don't say a word. They can't know you're online. I promise I'll explain everything when I get back. I'm going to need your help.
All right, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us. This is, of course, the VR League, brought to you by Oculus and ESL. We have our two teams, beginners and G-men, well underway here. We've already had one map, Cargo, going to the G-men in a 3-2 decision, so very close there. And then we have been one round through on Bazaar, which is a bit bigger, but yet still very diversified. What are your thoughts? I mean, we should be getting back into things any minute now, but
Absolutely.
might as well take a bit of time to get any check-ins on with you, Potter.
Yeah, and we saw beginners on that attack on that first round, and they did not find much success because I believe they took a little bit too much time, and we heard in the communications them kind of
Yes.
scrambling towards the end there. They weren't as coordinated as we saw them be on Cargo. So swapping sides, hopefully their defense, as you mentioned earlier, they are known for their defensive side, so hopefully their defensive side lives up to G-Men, because now G-Men is on the attack, and they're known for their aggression, right? So hopefully they capitalize on that, and we see that aggression pay off for G-Men here.
Yeah, that newfound aggression, though, actually, because at one point they played this map especially almost just like the beginners did in that first round, which is get everyone into position. If you can get a pick while you're getting there, you can.
Right.
But we want you in position for the last hurrah, right?
Yeah.
But as we talked about with the beginners, when they started running out of time, once you run out of time like that, that time limit's a hard limit. If you don't make it, get the kills or get the cap in that time or the uplink, you lose the point. The defense wins. They don't have to kill you. They can just wait you out if you're going to be chicken.
Definitely, and I do have to agree with you. I think they're definitely going to probably approach this a little bit slower, probably very similar to beginner style, actually, because they're spawned so far away at that southwest street. The distance that they have to travel while clearing so many angles is quite far, with that uplink being so far up northeast.
Yeah, it is. It's a long journey to make. However, I have seen teams get there fairly quickly and use some serious aggression to make a match go pretty fast. I don't think I've seen G-Men do it from this particular spawn that we've seen them on that southwest side. But it's not to say it can't be done.
Yeah.
However, I agree with you. They'll definitely go with a more slow approach so that they can get everyone into position and hopefully not have to do any last-second adapting as the timer ticks away.
For sure, and you can see here players on the beginner side, they're just still warming up. You know, they're keeping their fingers, they're keeping their muscles warmed up,
Right.
loosey-goosey, making sure that they're going to be ready as soon as we get live into the server.
Loosey-goosey, lactic juicies.
Loosey-goosey.
All right, we are just waiting for all the players to be back in the lobby. Everything else should be okay from what I understand. We do again thank you all for sticking with us through our tech difficulties today. It's been a bit of a tough day for everyone, but can I get a shout out to the stage crew and the folks down there at the stage handling these issues for our players? I mean, just top-notch guys and gals down there really making sure the show's running smoothly, so I feel like they deserve some credit here.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a bit overwhelming, right, having so many wires and things of that nature, and making sure everything runs smoothly, and these guys have been working all day, all morning, all night.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, a lot of these guys who may have been working with ESL for a very long time at other events, right? This is a completely new field for them, right? They're dealing with so much more, well, maybe not so much more, because of course with the larger events come larger sound setups and larger lighting and things like that. But as far as the player setups, it's a lot more involved, right? There's 4 sensors, you've got a headset, you've got controllers, you've got the PCs themselves, and all of that has to be working in that harmony and working well in order for the VR games to really shine through. And so it has been a tough setback, unfortunately, today, but again, our ops crew has really been handling things, and we're hoping to get things back underway here at any possible second. The G-Men ready and waiting. They're ready to continue their fight. They are technically at the advantage, though their momentum has officially been lost.
I think you're right. I mean, they were at such a they were feeling it though, you know, and they seem like they have the discipline, they have the strategy, they have the depth to be able to continue forward. It's definitely going to be a huge testament to them to see if they are able to maintain that momentum moving forward. Definitely.
Yeah, and looking at the look on Swooty's face, he doesn't look the least bit concerned. Maybe a little bit thirsty. Somebody get him a water for me. But hopefully we are running in very shortly, and that we are. We're going to be into our second round here. Finally, G-Men again will be trying for the attack. They'll be getting that southwest spawn. Should be the southwest spawn. But again, the new lighting and the new update just really bringing Bazaar to life. This map, very beige tone before, and now with those higher res textures and the real-time lighting and shadows, it's just been a huge improvement for the visuals on this map. And we're gonna have to see if the beginners or the G-Men are ready for this. Here it is. The Northeast objective. G-Men on the assault, beginners on the defense. There's 5 minutes on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. And in that time, the G-Men must get to the uplink and send a 7-digit uplink code to get 2 points, or they can go in and wipe all the members of the defending team, the beginners, in order to get 1 point. So a 2-point cap here, an uplink here, will end everything. Will end the beginner's day. So I can bet you money, though I can't bet you money, but I would bet you money that the defense plays close, but in fact, they're not. They actually have a few well-off objective.
Absolutely, and we're going to see here G-Men with a player far south here. He's going to try to creep his way and try to get a good flank off. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the man down there, because we saw him with such good timings on cargo. So hopefully that is him. Hopefully the timing is on his side, and hopefully his team there in the central part of the map, they're going to be able to create a diversion, draw out that aggro, and create enough space for that player on the G-Men side to have a successful flank.
Yeah, and we see those 3 members of the G-Men bunched up there. They run a 3-1-1 here, it appears. They've already managed to get one guy well off in the southeast there. He's going to be ready, but Smoils, the angle we were just watching, he's going to be able to catch that cross if it happens. He's in a good spot for it. The beginners here, you can see them not taking too many chances. They're not overexposing themselves. They're not taking a lot of peeks. They're really trying to play it close to the vest, because they know if they screw something up and the wrong kills happen, the G-Men can slide in there, put that digit in, those 7 digits in, that telephone number in, and call their cable company to send the uplink so that they can get their 2 points.
And you saw Woods 43 on the bottom left of your screen there. He was just prone on the ground physically. And now he's just quickly gotten up, throwing a grenade. Let's see if he's a Kobe. No, unfortunately, no enemies there. But just he's doing some burpees in real life there.
Yeah, burpees would be a great training method for this, especially going from standing to crouch to prone to crouch to standing, you know.
Absolutely.
That is the best exercise for it, in fact, even though they are terrible, and nobody should be forced upon burpees. Either way, though, no kills have come out yet. We're a little over 2 minutes into the round here. Some fire has been exchanged from both sides, some frags out from both teams, but nobody finding the angle that they need just yet. But as we said, G-Men do tend to sometimes play this map in the style of the EU or the way the beginners play. So could be we'll be seeing another minute or so before the action really kicks off.
Definitely. We just saw Smoils, the man, taking down Kev. Now Kev is only downed at the moment. Let's see if G-Men are able to actually finish him off, or if beginners are going to get. It looks like they're going to actually get the revs off of here.
Yeah, it'll be hard to tell. Kev is in a pretty defendable position. Oh, it does look like maybe a member of beginners has dropped, at least on the UI. Let's not rush to any conclusions. No, it does appear.
Smoils got that revive off on Kev, so it's still.
And there goes Kev again, brass to mouth, quick to get that refrag. So now that was a syringe that's been wasted on the side of the defense.
Yeah.
They can no longer use that for themselves or another teammate that goes down. Zach Fontaine's going to find Woods 43. Icy Woods finds Smoil, and Zach will find Smoils as well. Icy Woods and 404 are going to give a trade. It's down to 4v1. This is not looking good. I think there's one on objective. He's got Tab out. No, Swooty will find the kill instead, and that was their opportunity to close it. And honestly, I think this time, Potter, I would have went for the cap.
Right. G-Men once again with the opportunity to put the code into the uplink and just close it out dominantly. But you know what? They're making calculated decisions here, though, Sleepy. You're right in that aspect, is that they're playing it very safe.
They are, and I mean, better safe than sorry. They've now got a 2-0 lead on beginners in their own map. Now, unfortunately, there was a player drop. One player did drop there that was still alive. So unfortunately, that did cause a bit of a detriment to the beginners' defense. But still, unfortunately, it did happen after the allowable round reset time, and so therefore, that round will still count, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, really unfortunate for the beginner's side, but I mean, what a great defense on the G-Men's side once again, and quick trades, quick reactions. I do just wish that they second opportunity to utilize that, utilize that uplink. I wish they would have capitalized
We were
on
so
that.
close.
Yeah, but still, what a great round from them.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, you can't knock them for just about anything there. I don't think they gave the beginners any kills as they approached. I mean, we saw them with 4 still up as the last member of the beginners rushed towards the uplink site. I mean, and that's just exactly how this game can play. And sometimes really the scoreboard is not a justification of the match. Sometimes you will see a blowout on the scoreboard, which if you in fact tune into each round, you'll find was actually very close, maybe even down to the last man, last second in a lot of cases. But we are just waiting for that next round to kick off, though I am seeing players without their headsets on, so I hope everything is okay. Zach Fontaine there, the member of G-Men, one of the newer members we talked about. Incredibly nice guy, though. But while we're waiting, we do have some highlights from that first round. There's Zach Fontaine in the end of our second round here as everything kind of fell together, and here's Icy Woods rush back towards the objective where the cap was happening, but Swooty just finding the angle on him as he ran across the street. He took the shots. He wasn't aware, unless his teammate communicated, right? Some teams will communicate via a series of radio clicks or a rapid succession of radio clicks in order to tell their team that, hey, I'm going in for the uplink. I need you guys to either try not to kill him, or if it gets risky, just go ahead and take him out. We'll take the point. But, they communicate that with their team, and a lot of them have found new ways to do it without having to actually audibly say anything from their mics, because, of course, that can be heard. But if you just click your radio, unless your controller is making a lot of clacking, the enemy team's not going to hear it. So you can communicate that with your team. You could also, use that for affirmation or declination of a request, right? If somebody says, hey, Sleepy, or hey, Potter, are you alive? And you click twice, like, that could be an affirmative response, right?
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of ways that these players and these teams, and beginners, from what I understand, have code words for things. And so they actually don't like to personally stream a lot of their gameplay because, of course, then those code words and things are compromised. And so they're very secretive, and you'll find them actually, I was over at the Players Hotel the other day. They were off looking over maps and strategies. They're a very diligent team, as even one of the Woods brothers there in the interview said, but it's just not, unfortunately, it's not working out for them, and the tech is not working in their advantage at this moment either.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the growing pains take a little bit of time, right, Sleepy? So definitely that might be what we're seeing here with you mentioned Zach Fontaine being a new addition, things of that nature. So, yeah, maybe the pressure kind of getting to them.
It very well could be. I mean, this is a big stage for everyone. I mean, Radarhead spoke about how beginners and how Global Chem have been on this world stage before. Boss Fight in our mix this weekend has also been in the mix for LAN events for big prizes. They were on site at OC5 when we did the VR League Season 2 wrap, I think. Well, that was the finals for Season 2. And yeah, so the 3 teams that are here have been in this echelon, this tier of LAN event before, but G-Men have only been to one qualifying event in Leicester for OC5, and unfortunately they did not make it through. So I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, on paper, beginners should have this all wrapped up in a tidy box, but we're seeing the opposite right now, and I think that's blowing not only our own minds, but a lot of the minds it's some of the community members at home who are watching, just seeing beginners, this unbeatable EU team that's been dominating this year. It's going the way of the loss here, and it's been kind of tough to watch.
Definitely is. And I mean, actually, speaking of the #1 team being not the best, bringing a little CSGO trivia into this, but we've actually seen a somewhat similar instance in the CSGO scene with Astralis. I mean, they were such a dominant team, #1 for so long, and then I think what ends up happening is these younger teams coming into the mix, that eventually their hard work starts to pay off,
Of course, yeah.
Eventually they have someone that's so dominant to look up to. Eventually they do catch up, Eventually it happens. And so it's definitely up to the #1 team to maintain that position and keep innovating, keep remembering the roots and what foundation got you to that point, and innovating off of it, right?
Yeah, and when it comes to this level of play as well, like, we say like these teams are all equally skilled and equally qualified, and that's true, but in order for them to have gotten here, the hours of work that these players have put in, these teams have put in collectively together, so not just playing individually, because anyone can play individually and do well and improve themselves, but if you can't improve the entire team, you have no team. You can't get to the top. You cannot get to the top if you're not a team, you're not improving as a team. And so that's one of the tough things that you see, especially in Onward, when new teams come in and face up against teams like the Beginners or like Globochem, who are very, very seasoned and very, very scary, in fact. They get discouraged a lot of times, and it sometimes is very hard to see these new teams dissolve after a few weeks of going through the ringer. But if I could say one thing to those new teams, it is just keep playing. Those losses, while they do hurt, they are very, very important in your learning process. And unfortunately, that issue that we have from the Beginners will be more than we had originally thought. So thank you, but we will be back after this short break. Thanks for tuning in with us.
We almost made this place a paradise. We almost found the truth behind the Stormland. But the Tempest had other plans. Now our hopes come down to you. Will you transcend your programming and find the others? Are you willing to scavenge what you need and fight back? Dive deep into the slipstream. Channel the power of the Spire and reclaim your world.
You've always been a gambler, ready to make a wager.
Break through the door.
Or roll the dice. You've always known when to stand and when to hit, when to raise and when to bluff.
Your will is strong, but I will break you soon enough.
You know when you have a good hand, and you're not afraid to go all in.
All my life they're looking for true love, a real one. You, all I want to do is be there for you. Be there for you.
Space Junkies brings lightning-fast, jetpack-fueled shooter to the VR League. Challengers will face off in 2 versus 2 team deathmatch in deadly orbital arenas. The action now comes thick and fast from every direction and vertically in these new spherical battle spaces. The rules are simple. Eliminate your opponents as fast as you can in 5-minute rounds. Players will duck, dodge, weave, move, and groove through interior and exterior maps, grabbing a variety of insane weapons along the way. From cosmic rippers to biopumps, players have access to two-handed and single-handed weapons to choose from. And of course, dual wielding. In terms of points, each frag counts as a point. First to 15 or highest number of frags wins. Watch out, there is friendly fire, even in outer space, and killing friendlies will result in a loss of points. Like any competitive shooter, tactics play a key role, so playing as a team and using covers is essential when attacking or defending an enemy target. Your skill in aiming and ammo management will help you stay alive, so watch your lines of sight and keep that spatial awareness. Get ready to strap on your jetpacks and get shooting in the VR League.
Jack, can you hear me? How did we end up here?
You are the only person who calls me Jack.
Is that your way of saying you're going to miss me? Anomaly detected. I'm gonna get you patched up. I promise. Not to jinx it, but I think we're actually making progress here. God damn it! I don't know if I can do this, Jack. Your systems are failing. I barely managed to keep your core memory alive.
Are you injured?
What the hell is this? Jack, please.
Morning, sunshine.
Jack! Oh, thank God.
Captain Rhodes, report to observation.
Don't say a word. They can't know you're online. I promise I'll explain everything when I get back. I'm going to need your help.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you again for those of you who have stuck with us through our worrisome minefield of tech delays. We are here again with the VR League, brought to you by Oculus and ESL in our semifinal first series between beginners and G-Men. Now, the first round did go to the way of G-Men in a scoreline of 3-2. And in our current map, we are at a current 1-0 scoreline to the G-Men. I have been informed that the round in which the beginner dropped out has been invalidated, and so they will play it again from a 1-0. And it looks like we're going to jump right into it, Potter. How are you doing? I know these breaks have been tough on you as well.
I'm doing great. I'm just ready for these matches to get started, and it bodes well for beginners that they get to replay this round. They almost had it in that last round, so that drop definitely kind of punished them a little bit. So it's really great to see them being able to replay this.
It is great that they can do this because I do feel that beginners were a bit cheated out of that point.
Yeah.
Things happened really fast after that drop happened, and I think their team was still reeling from figuring out that the drop was coming rather than focusing on their gameplay. So I do agree with this decision. I think beginners do deserve the fair chance to earn that point. And then, you know, but G-Men are going to have to bring in here. We do have a different objective as to what we started with when the lobby came back. We're now looking at the South Central Bazaar Street. It's right over there near the Humvee, and you can see the beginners are encircled around it, trying to protect it from all angles of attack. And the G-Men are trying to prod their way in, but so far no luck, though we have heard a few shots ring out. And Icy Woods, as I say that, will down Swooty. We'll have to see if the G-Men are quickly able to rotate and get that res up.
What a great start for beginners to be able to get that opening kill. It's going to be tricky for them to be able to close that out and finish off the kill because of the distance that they're at. But we see G-Men here. They are still quite far away from that objective of the uplink. And two members in the far north street. Let's see what their strategy is going to be here, Sleepy.
Yeah, having those members still back in the far north, 3.5 minutes to go.
Here's the res.
Finally, we do see that res. It did take a little bit longer, and I will say that G-Men are quick to turn around and almost immediately get the res in almost any given situation. However, this time, I think there wasn't really anybody in position, though it appears 404 came from well around where there were some teammates closer. But now, Icy Woods will find another pick, and this time a headshot, so that's going to be an insta-kill onto Brasta Mouth, and beginners will take the advantage here as we tick away down through 3 minutes. G-Men are at the disadvantage currently with only 4 active members left on the field.
And we hear the communication from Dr. Killinger coming out, asking if they can hear him, trying to give out some crucial information. And that's one of the things about Onward, right, is that the communication isn't something that happens all too much directly. There's some clicks, there's some small information that's given out to each other, but there's not a lot of comms here.
You're right. Right now, if you don't need to use unnecessary comms, you don't have to, right? Because if you haven't seen anything to report, you don't want to give away if you're too close. If an enemy has just not made himself aware to you, but he's right around the corner, you give that call out for no reason, and that just gives the defender your position, and you're basically putting yourself at a disadvantage in a soon-to-come firefight. And I think they're playing that smart, but at the same time, your communication is a skill that you have to rely on very heavily in this game. And sometimes, in some cases, we actually will see teams who sacrifice the ability to sneak around the map and will just worry about giving the call out so that their teams can reposition and get an angle to that oppressor and find that kill.
Definitely, and we see Zach Fontaine quickly moving in the far south side of that uplink. Looks like beginners are pretty turtled up surrounding that uplink, so it's going to be up to the other members of G-Men to create some sort of diversion, some sort of distraction so that 404 can actually be impactful in this position.
Yeah, he's going to be able to sneak up very close, but I think that's going to be Smoils who's laying down in the objective room. No, it's Kev, and he does find the kill onto 404. 404 not ready for that corner, and Icy Woods will find Zach Fontaine as well. The South has been compromised. G-Men in a tough spot here trying to make their push.
They certainly are, and beginners, such a strong start, bringing the clock all the way down to 1 minute. Really nice defense, as you mentioned, Sleepy. Beginners is known for their defense, and you can see here that they're in perfect positions surrounding that uplink and not really giving G-Men any sort of openings.
No, they're not, but we are still seeing a good bit of coordinated play here from the man and Swooty as they try and work their way across the South Street, and Swooty will find it down onto Woods 43. The angle, though, just going to be a little too tough for him to get that confirmation shot in, and he'll soon have the man backing up in case the beginners decide to throw one out there. But no, instead, they go ahead and rush to get the revive, and that's another thing we haven't talked so much about is rotating quickly for those reses, especially if you have the manpower to do it. Go for it immediately. Don't waste that time because they only have a finite time before they do pass away. And there we are. Icy Woods finishes off. Swooty Smoils grabs the man, and that'll be it. Beginners do take their defensive round, and we will go 1-1 here on map 2.
And what a great response from the beginners coming out of that technical pause that we had, and they were able to replay that round that we felt was a little robbed from them, and they solidify their victory here, tying it up 1-1.
Yeah, and they show how while it may get them a bit upset, they are able to control that, center themselves, and focus back in on the gameplay. And that's what we saw in that round. I mean, they were ice cold there. Every angle was watched. We saw a beautiful little arc of coverage around the objective, kind of cutting it off. The only really exposed part of that push was the south, which they ended up being able to close off quite nicely, in fact.
Absolutely, and this is going to be a nice test for the beginners. Now we're going to see a swap, and we saw them kind of falter a little bit on their attack when that uplink was on that northeast side. Now with that uplink down towards that center street again, it's going to be curious to see what beginners' approach is going to be for the attacking side this time around.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's a tough objective to defend. I mean, yes, it's walled off kind of in the south, and you can do what beginners did and surround it like they did, but there's so many angles of entry. If the attackers can manage to sneak their way up very closely, we could see a multi-pronged attack that could result in a cap here.
Definitely, and if it is a cap, again, reminding you guys, that is 2 points. So
yes,
whoever caps at this point is going to end the series. And if it happens to be G-Men, they clench it out and make it to the finals tomorrow.
And Icy Woods with a super long-range angle down the north street finds a headshot onto one of the members of G-Men. I believe that was 404, getting taken down very quickly, and beginners already off to a great start here on this attack.
Absolutely. What a nice kill from him. And Zach Fontaine just taking a look at his tablet, trying to gather. That's the HUD that these players are relying on, because they don't have, as you mentioned, any sort of information in game. So he's just glancing at that tablet, making sure he's got all the information that he could possibly gather before making any sort of decisions.
Yeah, you're right. And this is actually that quicker spawn that I talked about for this objective earlier. Beginners are able to get this and utilize it. As we saw, they were able to get a quick pick on a rotation from the defense before the defense was even really set and prepped for it. So now beginners already on the advantage. They've already moved up quite well up the map. They will slowly get those two guys in the south there in the Central Bazaar Marketplace to push up and get into position as well. But for now, they're covered well. Woods 43 is going to peek out the door and find one onto Zach Fontaine. That's the objective, slowly starting to fade coverage, and the beginners are closing in.
They certainly are, and this is such a great start for beginners. Already up 5 versus 2 with a huge advantage. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock here. So really all they have to do is just slowly bring it in towards that uplink. And we spoke about the uplink code. Perhaps we're going to see beginners make a big play here.
I'm hoping so, but it is a 7-digit code, and with the pressure these players have been under today, that can be a really tough thing to remember.
Yeah.
We're seeing some attack grenades and flashes and smokes coming out now as they try and pick the defenders out of their holes. But no, unfortunately not. The grenade will deactivate a defensive C4 that was placed, however, and that will help out the beginners as they go in for the attack. But yeah, this is not looking good. If they pick that single player who's directly on top of the objective, enough smokes, and we're going to be seeing an uplink.
What a hero for Icy Woods to show up in this match right now. He was a little bit quiet coming into the semifinals, but he's really showing up specifically in this round with already 4 kills and 1 death.
Yeah, you're right. 4 kills. Nothing to scoff at here in Onward. Again, those TTKs are very low, yes, so it doesn't take as many accurate shots, but sometimes you have a millisecond or less to really react to some of these situations. And unlike mouse and keyboard games where it's just a quick flick of the wrist in some occasions, no, you got to be able to draw your hands up in front of your face as fast as a player on a keyboard could flick their wrist.
Absolutely, and beginners have to be a little bit patient here because one of their mates is far on that east side, not really near the enemies at the moment, so they want to give him a little bit more time to get a little closer so that he can be more impactful and more useful towards this pinch that the beginners are trying to set up.
Yeah, it looks like the beginners are biding their time. They are pushing that guy east, like you said, and he is going to be key to this attack, I think. If anything, he's going to draw the eyes of the defender or might even find a sight line onto that one who is very close to the uplink and allow that team of 4 to push in from both the north and the central bazaar area and just go in and just overrun the objective with smokes and with just sheer firepower.
You know, beginners is in such an optimal position to be able to go for a risky play such as that uplink. I really think this is their opportunity to do something like that.
It is. They could end it right here and take us onto our decider map. They can finally finish up this series and go take a break, grab some food. But no, a few shots ring out. We're down to a minute 22. This is where we should be seeing the push here. Kev's going to be pushing down the north alley. He's got good smoke coverage over in the blue room. Dr. Killinger will take care of Swooty anyways. And here's the tablet out. Kev's going for the cap. Brass the Mouth is fine. Wilt's 43. Will we see our first uplink here? No, Brass the Mouth kills Icy Woods, and he's slowly picking away at the defenders. Will the cap ever come out?
The cap?
Oh
it's
my
taking
goodness.
so long.
The pressure is getting to Kev. He's not able to get those 7 digits in, and Brass the Mouth's going to find him with a clutch. However, Dr. Killinger finds the kill, and beginners will take the round, taking us up 2-1. Now they'll move into defense again, and this could be us seeing the start of the beginners taking map 2.
Surely, Sleepy, surely he misplayed that code. He put it in wrong, so the pressure got to him. That took such a long time for him to get that code. That would have been the clutchest play of this tournament so far.
Yeah, those codes are completely RNG, so the number is different each time you spawn into a round. And, you know, there are a lot of players who will try and memorize it at the start. Others will do the start and then maybe part ways through the map when they're safe. They can check it again just to make sure they have it. And then some won't do it, or some won't check it until right before they cap. And that, I think that's a lot of times where it comes in, because sometimes you have very tricky codes like number combinations that really fool with your head. So I'm sure there was a couple of backwards numbers, or maybe a repeated number, or maybe the nerves, you know, with a touch controller in your hand. If you've got shaky hands, typing in on this little keypad is very tough.
Definitely, but I have to respect the play. Even though it didn't work out, you know what? They still had such an advantage, such a numbers advantage, that they could play around with that idea, and they could start experimenting. And I respect that that they actually went for the play, even though it didn't work out. This is something that they can look back on and say, hey, we knew our win conditions, we knew how much advantage we can take from these guys, and we absolutely try to take it. And either way, at the end of the day, they secured the round, Sleepy.
They sure did. And talk about win advantage, they now go on to defense. They've actually defended this objective before. No, I'm sorry, no. G-Men did gain their point on a Marstock round in this objective. So we will have to see, but
we're seeing some quick movement across the map here.
Well, this is a fast spawn, and G-Men are playing the aggression here. They are not slowing down. They are not going to let beginners really get set into position. We see a lot of fire coming in. Icy Woods with his LMG will catch 404 as he peeks a corner. And now we're into a 5v4.
And Icy Woods with another opening kill for his squad, the beginners. He's really grabbing his teammates and just pulling them, trying to push them over the edge and finish this match out. Another great round so far from Icy Woods.
Yeah, he's like the hype guy for all the beginners rounds, right? Like, he gets those almost instant kills when there's really close quarters engagements. And there we saw even the aggression from G-Men so far has not been enough. The beginners are tightly defending this objective, as they should, because they are just 1 point away again from taking map 2 and sending us into the decider. But G-Men are not giving up yet. They also have the opportunity here with an uplink. They could completely come in and upset this at the same time. That's the beauty of Onward and that uplink. Those 2 points can make or break here in the VR League, where it's only 3 needed to close out each map.
Definitely, but G-Men are at a man disadvantage at the moment. The only thing really going for them right now is the time. They've got a lot of time on the clock here with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. And there we go, Zach Fontaine gaining an advantage for his teammates, but then gets traded immediately out by the beginners, making it a quick 3v3 here. 1 versus 3.
Yeah, it's amazing. Brass the Mouth really there to clutch for his team, and there he is again.
Wow.
He's going to find... They're going to get the uplink. The uplink happening the entire time, and we didn't even know. That's how hectic things got in the last round. But no, G-Men have completely knocked out our reigning champions, the beginners.